We got big breaking news coming out of Ukraine, folks. We got both the Ukrainian Defense Ministry as well as the Ukrainian ambassador to the UN saying very similar things, both issuing tweets within the last number of hours, predicting that there will be a nuclear incident in Ukraine in the next number of days. They're claiming that this was going to be a false flag operation done by the Russians, and that there will be nuclear waste, radioactive material will be released into the atmosphere, that there will be mass evacuations necessary. So we're going to jump into this, folks. I know this is Memorial Day weekend, and a lot of you are picnicking and all that kind of stuff like that. Please keep doing that, but be aware of what's going on here as well. Everyone, welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar, and I'm an accountant by trade, and I keep an eye on the news. I've been tracking the news for many, many years, and we like to dive into the numbers here and cover things that the news media just won't cover. And we cover stuff here on this channel that you're going to see on other YouTube channels next week. That's legitimate truth on that one. This video is brought to you by Genesis Gold Group. They do a fantastic job moving people out of stocks and bonds with their retirement portfolios over into gold, platinum, silver coins that are physically yours in a vault, because it's a retirement account, you can't touch it. But when you get distribution, you take out the coins. You can talk to Jonathan and his team. You can find them down in the description down below. We thank them for supporting these videos. All right, so the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, massive power plant, before the war produced 20% of all the power for Ukraine. So we're not talking about a small plant. We're not talking about a medium-sized plant. We're talking about a massive nuclear power plant. This has been an issue before when the Russians first seized the plant. They can claim that they were being hit by artillery, that Ukrainian artillery was intentionally targeting the power plant and trying to cut off all the power lines going into the power plant so that it would go critical, and they could blame it on the Russians. Russians later claimed that when the IAEA inspectors, UN nuclear inspectors came in, that Ukrainian special forces trained in the UK attempted to use them as human shields to infiltrate the plant and to seize the plant while UN inspectors were there. And because when the UN inspectors came in, they demanded that the Russian soldiers pull out of the facility so that they would not be threatening the inspectors and stuff like that. And so they used that as cover to kind of use the UN to force the Russians to pull the troops out, and then they were going to send their special forces in to try to take the plant. So basically using the UN as human shields on that. The plan went sideways when the Russians were able to detect the incoming boats on the river and attack them with helicopter gunships. So this and the allegation there was that, once again, that the Ukrainians weren't trying to capture the plant so much as they were trying to sabotage the plant, make it go critical, and then blame it on the Russians. So Russians are pretty sensitive about the thing. But both the Defense Intelligence, which is part of the Defense Ministry of Ukraine, issued this tweet. It says, the Russians are Russians are preparing massive provocation and imitation of the accident at the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant in the nearest hours. They are planning to attack the territory of the ZNPP, which is the power plant, right? Zaporizhzhia Power Plant. After that, they will announce the leakage of radioactive substances. And then the Ukrainian ambassador to the UN, Sergei, there's just too many consonants in there. There's like one vowel at the end and lots of Y's. So he said, Moscow is preparing a large-scale provocation to create a center of radiation danger, according to, and then actually linked up the Defense Intelligence account. And said, in the coming hours, the Russians are preparing a large-scale provocation to simulate an accident at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And then gave some additional information links there. So we're not just hearing like some rogue person on the Twitter account for one of the agencies inside Ukraine, but we're now hearing that repeated by the Ukrainian ambassador to the UN. Serious allegations. They're saying in the next number of hours that this is going to go down. That will affect with radiation, the immediate area, that would prompt large-scale evacuations in that area, both on the Russian side as well as potentially on the Ukrainian side as well. Troops operating in that region will either have to wear protective equipment or will have to risk contamination, potentially for short periods of time, rotating soldiers off the front, that kind of a thing. Is this going to affect larger areas? Well, one of the big things that we need to point out is that they grow a lot of crops in that area. And so having radioactivity spreading out throughout that whole area is going to contaminate a lot of crops. A lot of these crops head down to Africa, but still, will that be able to be exported if a lot of these crops are irradiated? If they have radioactive dust on them, or if this gets caught up in the water system and there's radioactive, I mean, it's going to be like Ohio all over again with the rail crash, right? With the chemicals in the air and chemicals in the water, same kind of thing, but with radiation as opposed to that. So we got some big concerns there. Now, things are not going well for Ukraine. With the Bakhmut falling, it is completely in the hands of the Russians now, and that is a major blow to the Ukrainian forces. Their spring offensive still hasn't begun yet, and yeah, it's almost not spring anymore. Whereas we see the Ukrainian government keeps giving, saying basically they don't have enough weapons, they don't have enough support in order to launch the spring offensive. With it being successful, that they're afraid that they'll have too many casualties if they launch the spring offensive, and so they're getting a lot of pressure from Western powers who are dumping money into Ukraine, but then Ukraine is not able to launch the spring offensive without, in their minds, unnecessarily high casualties amongst their soldiers. So they just seem to be running out of people. They're doing recruiting drives where they are drafting men all over the country and trying to force them into service, get them trained up, get them on the front lines, and get them combat effective as quickly as possible. And that's not going as well as they had hoped, and they're just not having the staffing. They don't have the people trained on the new weapon systems. And as they say, they don't have enough weapon systems being delivered quickly enough from Western powers. So then this comes out, and there's different ways of looking at what this is. Is this going to be a false flag, or is this going to be a false flag? We start getting into those kind of games. Is this going to be their desperate attempt to take back the initiative or to blunt the Russian attack, invasion into their country? That's all up to interpretation, and not exactly clear what's going to happen in the coming days. Probably we won't know until years after. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think is going to happen here, what you think is actually going on with these things. But definitely a coordinated push to get this message out is happening right now, with nuclear weapons being positioned just now into Belarus, and Lushenko, the president of Belarus, coming out and saying that he's been told, or he's saying with authority, that apparently any country that joins the Russian country, we're talking probably very close unity, will get nuclear weapons. Is Iran going to suddenly get nuclear weapons from Russia? Are they going to go down there and start deploying weapons in Iran? Is this like, what does this mean? And is Lushenko just going off off the rails again? Who knows? Is he saying stuff that he ought not to be saying, and the Russians are going to have to take him aside and be like, stop saying that because we didn't promise that, or what? Or does he actually know stuff that the Russians have told him in the background, and he's kind of floating it out there so that other countries will pick up the phone and call Putin and be like, hey, is this a legit deal? Is this a legit offer? Like, what do we need to do? What hoops do we need to jump through? And as we're starting to hear, it sounds like, and this is unconfirmed reports yet, but it sounds like some Chinese weapons are finding their way down to Ukraine now. So this is another situation that has been very concerning. Iranian drones have been showing up in Ukraine for a while now with Russia, but now it sounds like some Chinese weapons are starting to show up now too. We haven't seen that at scale yet, but we're going to see in the coming days whether that escalates or whether that's just kind of a one-off. If they were able to get their hands on a cache of there are a few drones, as well as some people are seeing some Chinese vehicles. So let us know if you hear anything more about that too. We're going to keep our reports flowing, and please do keep your reports coming on what you're seeing at your store shelves and what you're seeing and hearing at your businesses. We need all that information. You can always email me directly at poplarpreparedness@gmail.com if you want to keep yourself anonymous, or you want to protect your identity, or share something that's a little more sensitive. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from me, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you later. And of course, you can always check out the breaking news on our website, thepoplarreport.com. If you haven't checked it out already, it's like Drudge but not liberal, and it focuses a little more on food shortages and these type of news stories. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.